Hi, is your company screwing up in one of the top 3 ways that companies always screw up? Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Today we're going to be talking about that. I'm with brianjpombo.com and also wanted to talk about our latest website, dreambizchat.com. This is for businesses, executives and business owners that run companies that are in the self-reliance space. And so if you have products or services that help people to become more self-reliant, then definitely go on over to dreambizchat.com. We're going to help take you from where you currently are to where you want to be with your company and actually build it up. It's not going to happen overnight, but we can help you actually develop a plan, and it doesn't cost anything. So we go on over, let's have a conversation. In the meantime, we're going to talk about, well, first off, I wanted to make mention of what happened in our last Facebook Live, our very first Facebook Live, first official one with the latest string of videos, is Facebook automatically flips your image to actually make it a mirror image. So anything you try and show like this, it comes out backwards. But you can't tell when you're actually doing it. At least I couldn't tell when I was doing it. I guess I wasn't paying attention. I had forgotten that they do that. You actually have to go in, reverse it ahead of time to make sure that doesn't happen. And so I got to embarrass myself by showing everybody a link that they couldn't read. So hopefully that didn't confuse you too much. The next thing, we've got these top 3 things. These are 3 ways companies always screw up. And really it comes down to, this is a basic principle that I've come across over and over and over again. I've heard other people discuss it. You may have also. And I just hopefully the way that I'm going to describe it today is a little bit different than what you've heard, and maybe open some things up for you in terms of how your company focuses on things. Oftentimes, well, I'll go straight into it. There's really 3 different things that people tend to discuss when you're talking about making any change in a company, when you're talking about doing anything different. It comes down to, there's 3 major things. I've got my trusty little whiteboard that I got from the dollar store, and I'm going to just draw some things out for you. The easiest way for me to talk about most things is in 3 ways, and let me just draw these out for you. I'm going to draw a little kind of pyramid there, and I've heard people discuss these things before. They use different words. I'm just going to use some real basic words. There's 3 different, like I said, 3 different things. First one is principles. So when you're discussing about what a company is based on or where you're going with a particular direction, it all comes back to a principle. There has to be something that is agreed upon across the board in terms of where you're going. The second thing is a strategy or strategies. And I hope you enjoy my writing here. The third thing is tactics. Okay, everything is based on principles. Principles are basically the why behind what it is that you're going to be doing. The strategies are actually the how. How are we going to go about doing something? And the tactics are really the what. And I'll give you a little example of how this works. So let's say our plan is to build out a new website or to change a website. And oftentimes I'll work with a company on something like this, and they'll say that and they just basically say, hey, we just want this flashy thing, we want this, we want that. And they get really bogged down in tactics most of the time. And if you're an executive in a company, you'll probably see this over and over again. We get caught up in the tactic of something, of the what, and we're not really thinking about the why. One of the main things that I attempt to do with people is actually pull them back to the big picture, because if your why isn't set correctly, you're not going to do the right what, and you're not going to have the proper strategy to get the what to do what you want it to do. But if you don't ask the right questions, you won't get there. So it all comes back to, why do you want the website? What do you want the website to do for you? These are the questions that a person needs to go through. And the website's just an example. This could be done for anything. So what's the website going to do for you? What's the purpose? We had on our podcast, and I'll talk about the podcast another time, but we just released a new podcast episode today, and this is with Ann Malloy of Neptune's Harvest. I recommend you go out and listen to that. It's episode 5 of the Off the Grid Biz podcast. It deals with where we interview basically people that have something to do with self-reliance companies. And so we were talking with Ann Malloy. She's the sales and marketing director over at Neptune's Harvest. And one of their main focus, their long-term strategies, is playing toward wholesale. So they have a website where they do have an e-commerce element. You can purchase their products through the website, but it isn't their main focus. And so that isn't the main push behind their website. If I was working with somebody to develop a new website, the main question I'd have is, who's your audience? Who are you going towards? What's the end game? What do you want them to do by the time they're done going through this website? Which direction are we taking them? Do you just want a catalog? Do you want just a brochure? Are you looking to actually pull in customers? Are you looking to just create leads for new customers? All these things have to be taken into account before you start developing a strategy, which is the how, right? The how are we going to do this? Now, what's the long? How long do we have to do it by? How are we going to pull all these pieces together? Who's involved with this process? And then comes the what. And then comes, okay, we probably want to make this site responsive to mobile and other things. We want to make it easy to be able to access from multiple angles. We probably want to have these things included. We want to have the catalog in, but we also want this, we want that, an autoresponder, what have you. The what, it becomes easy when you have the right how and the right why. It all comes back to what are we discussing first. And the first thing, the reason why I've got principles on the bottom here is because the first thing you want to focus on is the principles. It's the foundation. Principles are actually, there's usually not too many of them. That's why a lot of times when you see people draw something like this out, they'll put principles on the top and tactics on the bottom, because tactics are always plentiful. But the point, I have the principles on the bottom because it's the foundation of what you're trying to do. And then comes the planning, the strategy behind it. And then comes the tactics. The tactics become easy. What we do and what we don't do is all based off of a solid foundation. These are the 3 things that people screw up in companies because they tend to focus too much on tactics. They tend to focus too much on one area. They get in an argument because one person's arguing about principles, the other person's arguing about tactics, and nothing ever gets accomplished, or it gets accomplished badly. This happens over and over and over within companies. And if you think about this, you could probably apply this to the last fiasco that happened at your company. So once again, I just wanted to recommend dreambizchat.com. You want to find out more about me, keep an eye on these videos, like brianjpombo.com, and we'll see you on the next one.